Senhoras e senhores, iniciando nossas atividades, convido ao palco o senhor Achim Rötter. Rötter, nascido em Hamburgo, na Alemanha, é atual diretor e membro executivo da ELA, a Associação de Elevadores da Europa, chairman da VFA Interlift, que é a maior feira de elevadores da Europa, congrega mais de 230 empresas alemãs de elevadores, também diretor da revista Elevator World, especializada em transporte vertical com publicações mundiais. Senhoras e senhores, com a palestra, senhor Achim Rötter.
Gracias. Yes, good morning everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me here. Special thank you to Abermec, Crea and Mutua thank you to having me here. It's a great honor to have such a big group of elevator specialists here right in front of me, and I'm happy that I can give you a little insight of the European and the German elevator market. Special thanks from my side to Ronaldo, who did an excellent job as a host and prepared me very well. He sent me lots of questions which might come up, so I tried to answer them in my presentation. I actually added some, so there will be lots of possibilities for you to interact and to ask me some things. I will go first, start with a short introduction about myself and the ILA and VFA, which I'm representing today. Then I will go forward to the European and the German elevator market, and followed by norms and regulation. Then I think that's the most important topic today, the safety circle, which we use in Germany to make our elevators safe. I will go into that in more detail. Then last, I will go very briefly to trends and strategies because Ronaldo explicitly asked me to do that. And then I will have some closing remarks about Interlift. So for over 25 years, I had my own company. Hütter Elevators in Hamburg, Germany, was founded by my great-grandfather in 1876. I took over that in 1987 and sold that to Otis in 2013. I'm also the chairman of the German Elevator Association, VFA. We sponsor Interlift, so Interlift is our biggest item we work on. Then I entered the board of the European Lift Association in 1998. I've been vice president. I've been sitting on multiple committees for that. So I will continue that for at least another 3 days because I was just re-elected. Since 2005, I'm on the board of the Elevator World Board. It's kind of an advisory board to the industry. And after I sold my company, now I am a consultant to the elevator industry, mostly on inclined lift, ascensores, inclinados, but also on normal lifts and companies. And since 2013, I'm the convener of the European Technical the CEN, which is responsible for the norm for incline lifts, and I'm convening that. So a few words to the VFA I'm here to represent. We focus on multiple things. The whole association consists of 230 members. These are mostly small and mid-sized companies. We work on networking. This is one of our biggest strengths. We cooperate with a lot of companies within Germany and Europe. We work on standards and regulations. This is another big area of our day-to-day work. We have an academy where we upgrade the knowledge of our elevator technicians and our engineers. It has been very important because we are lacking skills in this area, and that's why we founded that in 2008, and it's become one of our biggest revenue sources as well. We also concentrate on exhibitions. I already mentioned we have the Interlift, which is a quite well-known international exhibition, but we also take our members to a lot of international fairs where we offer joint German booths. I will come to that later. This is a short vision of the board. We have distributed all the work within the VFA board. This is the membership structure of the VFA. We have now about 54% of our members are component manufacturers, 31% are contractors and maintenance companies, and then we have the rest of consultants, planners, some media is involved in it also. VFA, the network, you see here just in a short overview. We work with ELA very intensively, but we also work with NEC, with the Chinese Elevator Association. We work very intensively with the European Commission for the new standards which are upcoming, and of course we work intensively with the press. Here's an overview of all the exhibitions the VFA visits together with our members. We have joint booths in China, in Turkey, Korea, Elevador in Brazil. So we take our members quite far in the world to connect them to players around the world. The academy is concentrates on vocational trainings for technicians and engineers, as I said already. They can be booked in-house, and they are on multi-levels. You have an entry level, and which goes up and to a consultant level, and they are all certified by the German Association of Engineering. The classical German training for an elevator mechanic is a 3-year apprenticeship course. He will go, during that 3 years, he will work about 3 to 3.5 days in the individual companies. There he will get all the knowledge he knows it's necessary for working on elevators, elevator safety, all the technicians he needs to know. And also he will get 1.5 to 2 days per week schooling. In the school he will learn everything on the theoretical side of that trade he's learning. He's also having not only specific knowledge, but also he will have German, English, and other skills to round up his knowledge. There was one too fast. I don't know if this is working. But I cannot go back. One more, please. Thank you. These 3 years of vocational training will be ended with a certificate from the German government and the Chamber of Industry. So these are well accepted all over Germany. So if you have a certificate of that, then everybody is sure that you have the sufficient knowledge to work on elevators. Coming now to the European Elevate Lift Association, I will just have an overview here of the structure of that. There's a Standard and Codes Committee, a Component Committee, Communication Committee, Statistics, very important. Without correct statistics, it's very difficult to change standards. So we keep track on mostly all accidents we have in Europe, be it users or workers on elevators, just to have at least a good number With that, we can go to the European Commission if we want to upgrade the safety of our elevators. This is one of the best tools we have. There's an Energy and Environment Committee, and now this is very new, and sorry, too fast. This is very new. It's a digitalization committee, because this is one of the trends we think we will have in the future, is digitalization. It's an opportunity, but also a threat for the industry, especially when you look at small and medium-sized companies. I think this is something you really need to look into in the future. You see here that all the green names, that the VFA is very well connected to ELA within these committees. So, the German and the European elevator market. The market is dominated by the big four. We have Kona, Ode, Schindler, ThyssenKrupp. There is almost no Japanese companies, and there's almost no Chinese companies in Europe. Only in certain areas they start. Some on in the components. We have 3 companies, Chinese companies, who are offering components within Europe, but this is it. So they have not really started to enter our market. The market share of the small and medium enterprises is around 40%. This is very stable over the years, has not been decreased, although the big companies have the tendency to buy small and medium companies. I think this is a tendency we see worldwide, not only in Europe. This has been going on in South America as well for lots of years. The main directives and standards we use in Europe is the lift directive. That the lift directive is just, like the umbrella for all the standards we have in Europe. It only will have, it's called essential safety and health requirements. And under that you will have the different norms. Here you see EN 81 2050, 70 and 75. These are the norms which we then follow. These are very specific, while the lift directive is only the umbrella giving like the basics. Then you will get into the norms, and they will give you the specific requirements you have to follow if you want to install an elevator in Europe. I just want to remark that it's a little different, because in Europe is only responsible for new elevators. So we have only rules for new elevators which are in Europe, while all the operation, maintenance, inspection, all these are done by the local government. So we have one rule for new installations in Europe, but we have 30 rules for inspection and maintenance in Europe, because every country follows their own rules. There's no general rule for that. As I said, we have 30 companies. I just give you a small overview about the market. We have about almost 6.1 million units which are existing. The new elevators are, we have around 25,000 new elevators in, this is Europe, 156,000 new elevators last year in 2018 with a revenue of 5.4 billion euros. And the modernization part is about 1.6 billion. New installations of escalators, about 5,400. So this is a little divided, then you can see how the 6.1 million existing lifts are divided in different regions in Europe. Nothing lot to say about. By far the biggest market is Spain, with over 1 million existing lifts. Then it's followed by Italy, 972,000, and then the next single country is Germany with 765. Greece and Turkey are around 300 and 600,000 as a division. And then you can also see the new installations. I'm not sure, but I think all of you can get the presentation after this, so you can take the pictures now, but I think everybody can get this. It's no secret at all. The German elevator market has about 17,000 people working, 765 existing elevators, with new elevators around 22,000 every year. Has been increasing in the last years, has been since 2000, and in the 7th year now we have an increase of at least 3 to 7% in numbers in elevators in Germany, and the price increased even more, so we have a very, very good price situation in Germany. Coming to the code situation, I know Fabio told me that Brazil is starting to change the code system in this year, I assume, and that you will follow the EN 81-2050 code system. And here you see the existing world. Everything which is blue has accepted EN 81-2050, sometimes fully or sometimes with some additions, or so, like for example Russia, they have lots of hooligans, and that's why they have much more requirements for strengthening the whole elevator. So the only two areas which are not blue is the Greenland, that's North America, and Gary will tell you a lot about this area, and then we have Japan, which is also. So I mean, it has been quite a big story, and I don't know if you know that this EN 81-2050 has now been converted into an ISO norm. There's an ISO 81000, which then will be adopted by Europe at least. I don't know how the procedure is in the other countries, how this is going to be, but especially Europe will at least in at least 2023, I think they will take the ISO norm in Europe. So just saying to give you a picture of the European code at this moment. Yeah, I just said that EN 81-2050 will be converted, or is converted, in ISO 81. Then in 2023, I think I mentioned this all. In this regard, it's of course it's another thing for the big companies that it makes them easier when they have a worldwide code to have a worldwide standard for their elevators as well. Gives them more opportunities, and for small and medium companies, we have to look into that and be very observant about the development of this. So, as I said, new installations are covered by the European Code. The lift directive, then we have the general safety and health requirements. And you can fulfill this essential general health and safety requirements by using harmonized norms like the EN 81 series. There's lots of EN 81s in there. There's about 25 at least standards in the 81 series which can be fulfilled or have to be fulfilled on certain different elevators. You can also use, if you don't want to follow a harmonized standard, you can use a risk assessment. So you can go through risk assessment, and you can change everything from the harmonized standard if you want to follow a different route, but then you have to have a risk assessment, and that risk assessment has to be checked by a third party. I will show that with the next slide. It's a little difficult to see, and I will not be able to explain everything in detail in this presentation. But it's generally that the start is if you have an elevator with a type certificate, so it's a model elevator, and then you follow the structure if you have deviations or not from this type examination, and then you go these so down, and then you have here, you have different types of acceptance tests you have to fulfill when you want to place the lift into service. This is a very, very difficult structure, but it has been, we will cover like all different aspects of how to bring an elevator into service. And as this is maybe very different from the Brazilian style, I will not go into that in detail because it will eat up too much time. But if somebody wants in the break and he wants to get this explained, I'm happy to do that. So, existing installations, as I said, these are not governed by European norms, they are covered by German regulations. And there's an ordinance for industry safe and healthy. It does not only cover elevators, it also covers compressors and different dangerous goods. And here, under this, we have technical rules for operational safety. These will tell you how a lift has to be inspected, how a lift has to be modernized, how a lift is going to be maintained. These are all under this technical rules for operational safety. There's also a Product Safety Act, and that says that all the lifts have to be state-of-the-art. So if a lift is very old and the safety functions are not state-of-the-art, there's a requirement to upgrade these elevators to new standards. For example, if you have not covered the unintended movement of the car in the upward direction, which is now, of course, covered in the EN norm, but for old existing elevators, it may not be covered. So these rules will say if you start to modernize the drive or the controller, you have to also fulfill the requirement of the unintended car movement requirements. So there's always an upgrade you have to do with lifts, and this is required by the Product Safety Act, that they will give you the possibility. And it's a very strong law. So and it's also very heavily enforced. Everybody who owns an elevator has to make a risk assessment of his elevator every year. So he will check if he has to check. I don't know if he's doing it. It's a different story. But he has to check if the rules have changed and if now his elevator has to be upgraded according to the new rules. This will also be, but I come to that later. That will be governed by the inspection. So the inspection will be done by a third party, and I will tell that in a moment. The maintenance, was too fast, sorry. I did that? The Ordinance of Industrial Safety, that also gives the technical rules for operational safety. It's called TRBS, and under that you have norms how a maintenance company has to be structured, which rules they have to follow. This is all governed by the EN 81-1308. And then you also have an association for employers' liability insurance, and they have also a regulation, and this will guide you how to assembly, disassembly, and maintain an elevator system. So this is very safety related. Everything which is related to safety when you work on a lift is governed by this regulation here. So I'm coming to the safety circle. Some of it I have already explained, but we have 3 areas. We have this area here. This is for new elevators. Then we have this area here. That's inspection of existing elevators, and this is the maintenance part. So first of all, the elevator is going to be installed. It's going to be according to an EN 81, to a harmonized norm. Then it will get a market approval. The market approval will be done by an NB. It's a notified body. So if you want to, so we have, everything has been third-party inspected. So we have an organization which has been accredited by the German government. And then if you are accredited, you are allowed to make third-party inspections on elevators. So in the new elevator, when it's ready, before it's ready, all the documents are checked. Then, when it's ready installed and the elevator company has made the functional checks, then there will be a third-party inspection, and they will inspect everything, every safety, everything will be inspected, and at the end there will be a certificate for that lift. Then, during the operation of the elevator, there will be maintenance, and the industry, together with the inspection authorities, make sure that the elevator is always state-of-the-art, so that if any safety-related issues come up, they will be upgraded. And the third area is the inspections. This is done by also accredited associations. So you have to apply to the German government to be accredited to be an association or an organization which is allowed to do these tests. And you cannot do that only it cannot be a single person. It must be really an association to make sure that it's possible to transfer knowledge, that there's going to be an organization and they have an insight of a lot of elevators to make sure that they really be able to not only guarantee the lift of one elevator, but also for a lot of them. I'm just make a little divide here because a thing which I have not covered in my presentation is what happens when there's an accident. So 2 years ago, there was an elevator in the Netherlands, and 2 people went in the first floor, in the ground floor, and as soon as the doors were closed, the elevator went up 18 floors with full speed, because there was, in the connection of the worm gear and the wheel and the gearbox, there were screws were disrupted. So it was, the elevator has no contact, and it went with full speed 18 floors up. 2 people died. What then happens is that immediately the government will check, the third party will check the lift. It will make a report to the government. The government will automatically, the Netherlands government will automatically will make a remark in a special software system of the European community, and then all member states will be, all 30 member states will be automatically notified that there has been a fatal accident with that gearbox. So, what then happened is that the company who sold the gearbox will start to get a letter out to all their clients in Europe. And they will ask them to check all the gearboxes of this type in Europe, and they will give a certain date up to when you have to do that. And if you don't do it, the government will come to the special companies, and they will enforce them to check these gearboxes. So that's just a little discourse because we have not covered, I've not covered that in the presentation. So, who are the notified bodies in Germany? There are four notified bodies in Germany who are allowed to make third-party inspections for new elevators as well as existing elevators. It's the TÜV. I know that the TÜV has not a good name in Minas Gerais at this moment due to other reasons. I apologize for that, but in general, when it comes to elevators in Germany, they do quite a good job. As I said, we have some directives and standards to follow, and at the end, there's a market approval for the elevators or also for the safety component. The notified body does a very intensive test. I think I have that in my next slide. Can you get one more, please? So they will examine the technical documentation. They will verify that the documents and the elevator are conforming to each other, and they will carry out checks. There will be weight checks, or there will be software checks on the elevator. There will be all safeties will be checked. The balance will be checked. How you call that? When the car and the counterweight is balanced, that's checked. Checks and balances. Thank you. And that will be documented very well. There will be a test document, and that will be staying. One is going to the owner of the lift, one will stay with a third party, and one is going to the lift company. The second thing is the maintenance. Here's the maintenance companies are the ones who are working towards that the elevator will have through all his life be state of the art. That's about the most thing that the maintenance companies are responsible for. They do servicing, they do repairs, they inform the owner of upcoming changes, of norms. They will inform him about the status of his elevator, about upcoming repairs, harmonization, possibly. That is what is about the responsibility of the elevator company. There's typically two maintenance contract forms. One is like a standard maintenance, where you do just the basic. You look if the elevator is existing, if it's running properly up and down. You make maybe some adjustments, and this is all what's done. But then also you have a full maintenance contract where you have almost everything is included. Maybe not only modernization of a lift, that will be not included, but everything, repairs, callbacks, everything is included. I think this is pretty much the same as it is in Brazil. Then this is a short Q&A on maintenance, because Ronaldo sent me so many questions of that, and that's why I listed some of them here, and I'm open to get questions right now, but I'm trying to answer these in a short way. The ratio between an elevators and a tradition is very, very different, because it depends if you're in a big city where you have one lift next to each other, or you are in rural areas where the technician has to drive a lot of miles or kilometers before he reaches the next lift. But if you are in a big city, then I would say for a small and mid-sized company, the average would be around 80 to 100 in that area. While we know that the big companies, they easily do 130, 160, maybe even more elevators per technician per month. So it's not a number I can really give. I heard that in New York they go up to 300, but I don't know if that's about possible. But I think 80 to 100 is a good average. I can tell you. Though the market share, as I said, about 45% of the maintenance market in Europe is small and medium companies. This is different in every country. Like in Germany, it's a little more on the small and medium size, while in France, almost 80% is OEMs, and only 20%. So it's not a general figure for. There's no general figure for Europe. It's different from state to state, from country to country. And yes, the OEMs sell companies, and yes, the prices are high, and yes, the delivery times are long. So I think this is something you will always see. But I know we have talked on the car and drive here. Alibaba is the solution here maybe because all the OEMs are producing their elevators in China, so there's always a way to get things from China. That's also true for the inspection tools where you can get them. Is there a password that's permitted? And yes, there's a password mostly for. It's not only to hold back other companies from servicing the lift, but also, I mean, if you can enter the control and change the programming, you can have a serious situation in the lift. You can construct that. So that's why, of course, it is permitted, but the owner of the elevator can ask the OEM to get that password to them because they own the lift and they must be able to maintain the lift, and that's why the OEM has to provide the password. The technicians must attend training courses. I said they have to have a 3-year apprenticeship course, otherwise they will not be allowed to do the work. Also that the companies are responsible for their own training as well, so they make sure that the elevator mech technician is fit for the job. There's no life insurance for the elevator. As I said, we have an insurance for our workers, but we have no life insurance for the elevators, and the elevator companies only have a just general liability insurance, nothing special for elevators. The maintenance companies are not specialized in one brand anymore. That was maybe 20 years ago. You were able to concentrate on your controller and your drive and everything, but now the competition is so hard and it's impossible to concentrate only on your own elevator. So in my company we had about 60–65% of our own lifts in service, and the rest was from everyone around. Because sometimes you go to a hospital and they have like 120 lifts, and they will have only one-stop shop. They have only one maintenance contract, and then you have to take, of course, the elevators from other manufacturers into service as well. So this is just something we do, of course. So, going back to the safety circle of the inspections, we have, as I told already, the same as in notified bodies. We have 4 approved inspection agencies, TÜV, DEKRA, and GUT, and one more, I don't know the name right now, and they have to follow. Oops, sorry, that's not mine. They follow this ordinance and they do inspections. They do inspections before the lift goes into service. They do a test, and the recurrent tests are, we have a test of the elevator every year. So there's every year, there's in 1 year it's a smaller test, and then in every second year the test will be very comprehensive. There will be a very, very intense test. It will be done by the elevator company. So the maintenance company does a test while the inspector be supervising this test. There will be a report. The report is shared again with the the owner of the elevator, the maintenance company, and the third party. And when within that inspection, we have like 3 categories of faults. Like a small fault would be some documents are missing. So it will be just noted on the report, documents missing, have to be adjusted. Then the second thing is we have maybe a minor risk. So when there's a minor risk, the report will state that the lift owner has about 6 weeks maybe to adjust that risk to make sure that the elevator runs properly. So after 6 weeks, the maintenance company or the lift owner have to notify the inspection company if the risk has been if it had been dealt with. And then we have serious risk of course, and then the third-party inspection will shut down the lift immediately. They will not be allowed to get the lift, and there will be a notification to the government as well, just to make sure that it's not possible, that they know that there's a certain risk. And then before the lift goes back in service, the lift will be repaired or modernized or whatever is necessary. And then before it's allowed to go back into service, the third-party inspection will come again. So otherwise, it's not allowed to get the lift back in service. Yeah, as I said, we have inspection before first operations, then we have intermediate inspections, and after each damage also the lift has to be examined by a third party and before it will be allowed to get back in service. The test before first operation will be an examination of the technical documents. There will be a lift system test, and then you will get a little sticker in the car. It says that this lift has been inspected by whatever inspection company, and it will show you the month and the year of when the next inspection is due. So that is to enable also the users to see when they enter a lift car, they see, this lift has been inspected, the next inspection is in 2 years or whatever, and it's hopefully safe to use this elevator. Here again the tests which been carried out for these periodic inspections. There will be a safety test of function theft of all safety devices. We have the safety circuit, the weight balance, traction gear, safety gear. All these things are tested very intensive. A test is takes about 3 to 4 hours to get the test.
The elevator owner is the one who pays for this test?
Yes, the elevator owner pays for the maintenance company who are making the test, and they pay the third party for that, yes.
Is this expensive?
A test is about 400 euros. 400 euros is 1,600 reals. Okay. So that's about the cost for a test. So I think then here's again the questions of Ronaldo. So the inspection is done by an independent company. It's a third party who is doing that. These third parties have to be accredited by the German government. If you are not accredited, you are not allowed to do any inspections. To be accredited, you will be checked. So the accredited third parties, they will be checked by the German government every year. It will be paid by the owner. So that's about the same. It's mandatory to do the test, and it's always the owner who pays for that. Yeah, there are standard for inspections of old as well. So existing elevators are inspected according to a rule, and that's defined in our technical rules for elevator safety. Yeah, I think we answered that one. Yeah, the test reports, that's a good question. Where are the test reports? The last question. The test reports of inspections normally have to be kept by the elevator, so it must be possible in the years before, we all left them in the machine room. There was a big book with all the test reports in the machine room to make sure that when you come to the lift, you always have the latest state of the elevator. But now, with all the machine roomless lifts, and in Europe, we have 85% of our new installations are machine roomless lifts, and 15% are hydraulics, and they all don't have a machine room anymore. So there's almost no machine rooms to find in Europe. So where to put the test then? It's a good question. Right now they are sent to the homeowner, to the owner of the elevator, but he will take it somewhere. So it's quite a difficult discussion right now how to make sure that the test is where it belongs. So what we are working on right now is a digital lift book, we call it. So we try to have a platform where everybody can put in his information about the lift, like the third party can put the test results, the maintenance company can put the maintenance results, so everybody has access for their part, and that would be, I think, beneficial to put that everything in the cloud, because it's better there than having a piece of paper which is somewhere where you cannot find it. So, coming to future trends in the market, I have told that digitalization is a big part of the work we're doing right now. IoT in the elevators is something which really will be an issue for small and medium companies in the next 5 years, at least in Europe. I don't know how it will be in South America and especially in Brazil, but the big companies are pushing very, very hard in that direction. If you see that the Schindler Ahead system, ThyssenKrupp is a Max, and the Kone system has a different name, forget about that. But they are pushing very hard into digitalization. They all want to get all the information of the elevator in the cloud, and then they want to do, they want to enable that the lift can be, all faults of any lifts can be seen in before to reduce the maintenance visits and only go to visit the elevator in case there's something to repair. This is, I think, the ultimate goal of the big companies, to reduce the maintenance visits even more by what they have. Because what's the big problem of the companies? When you look at Otis or Schindler or whatever, half of their people, half of their staff are technicians. Otis has like 60,000 employees, 31,000 elevator technicians, and they all have to be upgraded in their knowledge every day. And that's very difficult, and then they don't have enough. I mean, I don't know how the problem is in Brazil, but I know that in Europe, it's very difficult to find an elevator technician. We just don't have young people going into our trade anymore, and therefore, it's very hard to recruit new elevator technicians. So the ultimate goal is to reduce the visits for maintenance even more. And I think this is also a danger for the small and medium companies who have difficulties in following that trend. In that regard, the predictive maintenance is I think, the key word here. Building information and modeling is for anyone who is doing new installations will be very, very important, because here you will be required to put all your drawings, all your data of your drawings into a specific software system, so that like you have what they call a digital twin of the building, because everything is already incorporated in the building. And this will require for everybody who supplies elevators will be quite challenging, because there you have to adapt. Maybe if you do your drawings, you have to adapt your software system to the BIM systems, building information modeling systems, which is quite a task, because there are not a lot of standards set right now. There's some associations, construction associations, which are trying to make standardized interfaces, but it's a quite complicated task, but it will, and I think it will be quite interesting for our industry. So also, Ronaldo asked me to tell you what I think are the strategies for small and medium enterprises to work on, especially when they have faced big competition from OEM companies. So my advice will be offer in a niche. This is always very good if you do something the big companies cannot do. When you look for a new elevator and you have, for example, an adjacent door which is 90 degrees, I think nobody no OEM can offer an elevator with a 90 degrees offset door, which is for a small and medium company, it's very simple, to be honest, but it's still there's nobody from the big companies who can do it. You can also look for suppliers who are very competitive. I mean, I don't want to name any names here because I'm not here on a marketing, but there are some companies which can offer you a complete lift for a competitive price. And so it would be another strategy, I think, if you want to compete, or you have to compete with the big ones. Then the third one is very easy. Offer better service in comparison to a big company. It's very easy because I can't name names here, but the OEMs in general, I don't know how it's in Brazil, but in Europe I can say that they are not doing a very good job. They are not fast, they don't repair, and they are very expensive. And so it's for us it has been always quite easy to get maintenance contracts from big companies. Of course, it is a little difficult to maintain elevators, new elevators, from the big companies because of their very closed systems. But we always had done it in a very open way. We have told our customers, we can do maintenance on your lifts, but we have to stop somewhere. When it gets into the software systems in detail, then we told our customers that we cannot do that, and then we would get help from outside. That's what I am saying here. The second one is you have to be prepared to service also OEM elevators. So you have to gather your knowledge how to make maintenance on a lift of an OEM. I think it will be very important in the future to be still alive as a small and medium company. Work together. I mean, this is, I think, a good example for something which you can do. Work together also in small groups. Partner up with other small and medium companies, maybe to get your knowledge, to meet and exchange information. I think it's very good. And go to symposiums like this to upgrade your knowledge. And I think that's important. So. Oh, my closing remarks. Just 2 words this year's Interlift year. So I know that a lot of you have been at Interlift in the past, but maybe it's time to go again. So October this year is Interlift, and we would be happy to see everybody of you there. Maybe some of your companies have already booked their booths. We're going to increase about 10%. We have even a bigger area. It's a very international show. 70% of all our visitors come from outside Germany, it's always an interesting show to go to. One more. So we have a new hall here, adding more space because well, it's not enough anymore. So this is a new hall, will be inaugurated in October. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about Interlift. I'm at the end of my presentation. I thank you very much for your attention. I hope I could explain some things, how we do it in Europe. I'm open for questions from you anytime, and thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Muitíssimo obrigado, Sr. Aschenhutter. E agora nós teremos uma sessão de perguntas. Quem quiser fazer alguma pergunta para o nosso palestrante, basta levantar a mão que nós vamos levar o microfone. Por gentileza, se identifique, o nome, a cidade e a empresa, por favor.
Bom dia, Fábio da Infolev de São Paulo. Eu gostaria de perguntar para o Mr. Hutter. O Brasil vai publicar, segue o padrão europeu de normas e vai publicar essa versão da N81 5020. Essa norma, ela prevê que a manutenção deve ter obrigatoriamente, o fabricante do elevador deve obrigatoriamente disponibilizar as ferramentas e manuais e informações para que a manutenção possa ser feita por qualquer empresa. Isso, em tese, abriria mais possibilidades para as empresas de pequeno e médio porte fazerem a manutenção e não ter um mercado tão restrito hoje como elas têm dificuldade de fazer manutenção. Essa mudança da norma ajudou as empresas de pequeno e médio porte na Europa? Ela acaba fazendo valer esse requisito ou não teve grande alteração?
The question was that in the new EN81 2050 there are more requirements for giving information about the software and information tools. It has, but it has not been changed a lot, to be honest. There has been no big difference. I think the OEMs, they interpret the tools in tools like a screwdriver and something, but they are not giving you any really tools to like access to your controller. That has not been done. But I know that there are some lawsuits ongoing in Europe that the big companies have to give up more information about that.
Mais perguntas? Por favor.
Bom dia, meu nome é Juscelino, eu trabalho na manutenção dos elevadores da CEMIG e eu sou o cliente, eu contrato as empresas de manutenção. Uma dúvida, qual a sua recomendações para que eu tenha um bom contrato de manutenção? Alguns aspectos importantes que devem ser levados em consideração.
You're referring to a special brand, or you're referring to maintenance contracts in general? No.
Contract.
Contracts in general.
Eu.
Okay. A good contract. I mean, the good contract would first be balanced with all parties. So a good contract is always have to be good for the building owner and good for the maintenance company. So that is for me always good. And when you ask me from the position of a maintenance company, I would say a long-term contract is always good. That is always helpful because it gives you a long-term approach. Then you should be aware of how many visits you do. That is, I think, the most important part to make sure that the elevator is in good shape. There's a possibility to have irregular visits, like you say, you go once a month or every 4 months. But also there are some companies in Europe which are following a different aspect. They say they make maintenance according to the number of travels an elevator has done. So you say, okay, every 10,000 travels, 5,000 travels, and so you're going to make a visit. This is an approach which has been dealt with, and I think this is the two things you should really put into mind, and then you have to make sure that you find good technicians to fulfill it. I think this is the key to success for a maintenance contract.
Em primeiro lugar, lhe agradecer aqui pela sua visita, pelas suas palavras. Meu nome é Ilide Lopes, sou da empresa Elevadores Salta, Rio de Janeiro. Me causou um pouco estranheza você dizer de um acidente que houve com um elevador na Holanda. E que eu saiba, o aparelho roupa-gripa é obrigado à instalação na Europa, nos Estados Unidos e Canadá. O elevador, por qualquer questão da máquina, ele despencou para cima e teve causas fatais. Se tivesse o roupa-gripa, me parece que não aconteceria isso. E o roupa-gripa sozinho, sem o auxílio do encoder, é suficiente? Agradeço a resposta. Muito obrigado.
Also, a rope gripper is not required in Europe. For all new elevators, it's required to have a protective measure for unintended calf movement in the upward direction. That can be made by a rope gripper, but it's only one solution. There are more technical solutions to that, which are possible. A combination of a bidirectional safety speed governor with a bidirectional safety gear is also possible for that. But that has not been, or the lift in Netherlands has not been upgraded with that, because this regulation for unintended movement in the upward direction has only come in place in 2012 in Europe, and therefore this lift has not been upgraded to the state of the art yet. And that's why the accident could have happened.
Muito obrigado. Ainda nessa linha de raciocínio, o assunto é segurança. O elevador não pode sair do andar sem a ação do comando. Ele jamais pode se movimentar de um andar se o comando não o mandar sair dali. Isto é, se a porta da cabine não estiver fechada. E essa preocupação sempre me atormenta, porque eu nunca posso garantir e não garanto que algum elevador esteja realmente seguro. Porque se por acaso o freio abrir e não trancar e não atracar, ele vai andar de porta aberta e vai deixar as portas dos andares abertas, no sentido, se tiver vazio, vai deixar as portas acima abertas. E se tiver com gente dentro, com peso suficiente, para vencer o contrapeso. Ele vai deixar as portas de baixo abertas. Essa é a preocupação que eu sempre acho que o elevador não está exatamente, completamente seguro, como a gente gostaria que estivesse. Muito obrigado.
I'm not sure that I understand the question, to be honest. I'm sorry. Maybe it was kind of missing in translation. Normally, you have a car door and a landing door, and both doors have to be closed to get the car in the movement. And of course, it can only be like a failure in the system. I mean, the landing door has at least 2 safety systems normally in place. And if both fails, then it's possible that the car can move with the landing door open. The landing door, yes, the car door, yes, has only one safety. So, but the new EN 81-2050 also asks for a second safety on the car door with a hook. And so I think in the future that problem will maybe solved better.
Bom dia, sou o Marcelo, do CCESP, o Sindicato das Empresas de Elevador de São Paulo. Eu gostaria de saber como que funciona a questão das multas em relação ao contrato de manutenção de elevadores. Existem essas multas de fidelidade da manutenção dos elevadores e os preços praticados para o cliente final das montadoras é diferente do preço praticado para a compra das peças pelas empresas independentes?
So the first question, there's no general rule for fines when a contract is broken. That's between the lift owner and the maintenance company. If they decide after a few years, and it's kind of a negotiation. In general, when you break a contract in Germany, it would be so that they will calculate the profit of that contract in the future, and you will get a percentage of that for breaking. For example, you have a 5-year contract. Contract is €1,000 per year. There's 5,000 euros. After 3 years, the contract is to be disrupted. Then you have only 2 years left. There's 2,000 euros. Then you subtract everything, you subtract all the costs for the personnel and everything, and then you have a profit, maybe 20%, 30% is left, and from that they will getting a part of that. So that is that would be a general rule, but this can be different from situation to situation. And the second question was about the price of the components. Sorry.
Os preços praticados pelas empresas montadoras para venda direta para o cliente final é diferente do preço praticado quando ele vende o componente para as empresas independentes?
They normally never sell to the final company, so they normally don't do that. So I can't tell if there's any difference in the pricing.
Meu nome é Alves, eu sou proprietário do Alto Elevadores de Salvador. Eu teria uma pergunta mais na questão financeira das médias e pequenas empresas. Eu gostaria de saber se você tem mais ou menos uma média de rentabilidade de uma pequena empresa, uma média empresa na Europa ou na própria Alemanha. Quanto é que você acha que essas empresas buscam de lucratividade a nível percentual? A segunda pergunta é porque, certamente, eu noto que no Brasil, devido ao aumento da concorrência e da o próprio crise assim, na questão imobiliária, eu noto que há uma tendência, e isso aumentando muito, de uma rentabilidade cada vez menor, porque os preços estão caindo de preço de contratos. Noto-se claramente isso. Então, por isso eu faço essa pergunta. E a outra seria se você teria condições de dizer, né, como seria o markup, assim, o preço de venda que é praticado por essas empresas na Europa em relação à compra de peças, né, aquilo que ele vende para o cliente final, qual seria mais ou menos, se na Europa, qual o pessoal usa mais ou menos em relação a isso?
This is a question, of course, I cannot answer for all the companies, because all the companies will have a different profitability, of course. I can also tell you about my company, which I worked for 25 years, and we were having a department for new installations, and we had a department for maintenance, and we had about roughly 3,000 elevators in maintenance. So the profitability of the new installations was around zero, sometimes less, depending on the project. The profitability of the maintenance side was, before taxes, roughly 30-35%. So, and the second question was about the parts. When we sold parts to the end customer, that is, of course, also a very difficult question, because sometimes when you just sell a screw, you will have a profitability of maybe a few 100%. But if you sell a big machine, you may have 20 or 30. So it's quite not really an average. But I would guess there would be at least 30%, 30 to 40%. But normally we don't sell like single parts. You normally sell a modernization. So you sell the hardware and the labor with it together in a fixed price. We would always, when we exchange and controller, we would never give the customer a very split of the price. We would tell him, okay, we do this, and this is one price, and that includes the controller, and that includes the fixtures, and that includes all the maintenance and the third-party inspections, and everything is included, and this is one fixed price. That's what we would have normally done it. I hope that answers your question.
Eu queria só tocar na questão aqui que o nosso colega do Rio de Janeiro levantou, sobre a questão de segurança dos elevadores em relação ao quadro de comando. E aí ele estava reportando ao acidente que aconteceu na Europa. Eu só queria esclarecer o seguinte: apesar do elevador cada vez mais ter recursos eletrônicos, a segurança do elevador ela é mecânica. Então, se você tem um acidente de elevador com vítima, onde teve uma falha eletrônica ou elétrica, é porque também a parte mecânica não funcionou. Então, no elevador, você tem que considerar a segurança dele, mesmo na situação de você não ter energia elétrica. Por isso que os circuitos de segurança no quadro de comando relativo a portas de pavimento tem que ser componentes eletromecânicos também. Então, a segurança do elevador, ela é mecânica. Durante o funcionamento, você tem diversos recursos eletroeletrônicos, mas a segurança final, ela tem que ser mecânica. E o que a gente observa é que nas instalações de elevadores tem sido pouco levado em consideração as características mecânicas da instalação. Última parada, medida de deslize, desaceleração nos amortecedores. Então, o que tem acontecido na realidade, tem provocado uma série de acidentes fatais, é da parte mecânica do elevador, dos recursos de segurança mecânicos dos elevadores não estarem em condições de funcionamento. E a gente verifica muito no caso de limitador de velocidade, que também é um dispositivo mecânico, que é a segurança principal do elevador, que é muito comum as pessoas pintarem o limitador de velocidade e, com isso, prenderem os mecanismos do limitador de velocidade. E aí ele não atuar na velocidade correta. Então, é só para levantar a questão ali, porque ele falou a preocupação dele com o quadro de comando em termos de segurança, mas a segurança realmente dos elevadores é mecânica.
Yeah, you're generally right. Of course, everything is electromechanical in elevator safety, but also this is going to change, because in the future there will be no speed governor anymore in the elevators, and there will be no limit switches in the elevators. So it will be all electronics, programmable electronics. This is what all the big companies are working on, and there are already systems in place where some of the electromechanical safety parts are exchanged to electronics.
Bom dia, meu nome é Edilson. A minha pergunta se refere às empresas que vão fiscalizar os elevadores. Ficou claro na sua palestra que existem empresas credenciadas pelo governo, pode ser federal, municipal ou estadual, e nós temos essa dificuldade aqui no Brasil. Sempre que a gente busca os órgãos municipais aqui em Belo Horizonte, por exemplo, a resposta que se escuta é que não tem verba, que não tem recurso para fiscalizar. E nós sempre sugerimos que se faça isso, que se credenciem empresas para que elas possam fazer esse trabalho e aliviando essa falta de recurso, tanto financeiro quanto de pessoal da prefeitura. Quando vocês implantaram isso na Alemanha, qual o caminho que vocês percorreram para a gente conseguir fazer isso na prática?
It's very difficult to find the first steps because it has been in place in Germany since I was born, I think, and I was born with TÜV. TÜV was always there. They always inspected the lifts, and I think what would be an approach is that you have the inspectors you have right now. They are already in an association, I think, but this association should have a strong approach to the government, and I think this is the only way to do that. That you and accidents unfortunately help. If there's is there an accident, and you can say, this lift has not been inspected properly, and it's your fault because you don't have enough resources to do that. That is always something where you can approach the government, and always helpful to include the press, because if you have pictures in the newspaper, that always increases the pressure on the government. That is very unfortunate, but sometimes accidents are the only way. I remember that in Paris in 2009 we had about 3 fatalities of small children, 8, 12 and 13, in a very short time, within a 3-month period. And within 3 months, there was in France there was a law to upgrade all elevators with additional door locks. So these can really help to get things going. Otherwise, I know governments tend to be not very fast. So this is my advice.
Bom dia, meu nome é Joselito, eu falo da Direcional Engenharia, também como cliente. Minha dúvida é a seguinte, na Europa a gente já tem, né, então, uma redução dos técnicos para poder fazer o atendimento. Futuramente, se isso acontecer aqui no Brasil, essa redução dos técnicos, em um caso de uma ocorrência com passageiros no elevador, existe um prazo limite para esse atendimento ou a gente pode treinar um colaborador em loco para poder estar fazendo esse resgate das pessoas que estão presas?
In Europe, there's a general rule. It's within the EN81 series. It's the number 22, and they require that within 30 minutes the rescue is initiated. So 30 minutes is the time you have to rescue a person. Otherwise, you should not offer a contract for that rescue. So that's like a general rule for Europe.
Fernando Moura, Clarion Elevadores. Primeiramente, parabéns pela apresentação. E em um dado momento você comenta sobre as tendências e do qual estou plenamente de acordo. Que uma das tendências no nosso segmento é a inteligência nos equipamentos, voltado, sobretudo, para as questões de manutenção. Hoje você tem os 4 grandes fabricantes mundiais fazendo parcerias e desenvolvendo a tecnologia como uma inteligência artificial e os equipamentos interligados à nuvem. Sem citar nomes, mas você tem entre os 4 grandes parcerias com a Google, com a Microsoft, com a IBM, todos eles muito ligados nessa questão que realmente para mim é uma tendência no nosso segmento. A minha pergunta está claro que os 4 grandes a nível mundial já estão muito ligados com essa tendência. Mas como que as pequenas e médias empresas na Europa veem essa questão e o que está sendo feito com relação a isso? Porque me parece que primeiro, um desenvolvimento bastante caro e que os grandes conseguem fazer esse tipo de desenvolvimento, mas como que essa tecnologia deve estar acessível para as pequenas e médias empresas a curto e médio prazo? Essa é a minha pergunta.
Yeah, that's a very, very difficult question. Because, of course, the big companies, they have immense resources and they put a lot of money and effort into that. And therefore, I mean, it will never be the same for a small, mid-sized company. It will be very, very difficult. And to be honest, I feel a little like a preacher because I'm preaching that all the time, and also the European companies, so small and medium companies, are not very focused on that. They have not, maybe not the same insight, or the market is so good right now that they don't have to care about, but. It's a danger for the future for small and medium companies, and what we try to do as an association to help as an association have working groups within the small and medium companies. We have a transversal group of people who produce safety components, controllers and safety components and doors. And we have on the other side manufacturers and maintenance companies set together to define the requirements for a system for small mid-sized companies, and we work together. We can't work together with Microsoft and Google, but there are smaller players in the market like Relay or something which are more on the mid-sized market, and you can work together with them to find possibilities. I mean, looking at the systems of the big companies, it's quite simple. You have like one component is getting all the information together. This is simple. It's like a little gateway you use and you put it up into the cloud. That's the easy part. The cloud is an easy part because you can buy that everywhere. Which is very difficult is the software which is in the cloud where the condition monitoring has been done. That is the difficult part because you need software knowledge to do that, and you need a lot of information, and you need a lot of information which is recurring. So if you want to supervise the door lock in the cloud, you need to have like, I don't know, 100,000 incidents to know when the door lock is going or when the motor is going to die or not. So that is a critical point, and that's where we think you have to work together with the component manufacturers, because he will know the best when his component will be over the due time. So that's why we are working on a transversal group with the suppliers. But it will be difficult for us to get all the information, but we try to get it running and then we have one group in Germany, we have one group in each country, and as I showed you, we have now a group in the ELA as well, a digitization committee, and there we try to do it for all Europe. Because only for small and medium companies, it's always the same. We are only strong if they work together. That's the only way. Otherwise, if you try to do it as a single company, we will not be able to make it.
Por favor, Ronaldo, VTC Belo Horizonte. Você disse sobre as inspeções que são realizadas por terceiros. Como é que quem que paga essas inspeções? Por exemplo, o cliente final paga para o governo ir lá inspecionar, ou o cliente paga direto ao inspetor? Como você disse, os inspetores são registrados. Como é que é isso?
The elevator owner will pay directly. He will get an invoice directly from the third party and from the inspection party, and they will pay directly.
Working? Here. Nice to see you again. Leonardo from Elevadores Nacional Vitória, close of Minas Gerais. Despite the fact that my company also mount machine room-less elevators, I have to confess I don't like this kind of equipment because it's too hard and too difficult to help people stuck inside the cabin. So you told us right now 80% of your elevators in Europe nowadays are machine room-less equipments. So this is
Can I make it? I have Portuguese on the phone. Right?
Oh, okay. So if you prefer, I can speak in Portuguese.
No, I was just confused because I was trying to listen to him.
Okay.
So if you can repeat your question.
Okay, I do it again. It's simply, I don't like machine room-less elevators.
Yeah.
And our market are changing here in Brazil to machine room-less elevators. As you told us, 85% of elevators nowadays in Europe, they are from machine room-less elevators. So is this a decision from VFA or ELA or any kind of department of fiscalization at Europe about those elevators? Or do you think or you believe this is a point of not return? or else you cannot change this kind of development of the market, and this is our future. For example, I wonder if it's a high speed and high rise elevators, if machine roomless will be a good solution. I don't know if it's right or if it's wrong, but I don't like this equipment. And I have been told about this situation a long time. And despite the fact we mount those kinds of elevators, I prefer machine room elevators. What do you think about this market and this kind of elevator at Europe and in the world?
So first of all, I'm not an engineer, but I don't prefer machine roomless lifts also. And I think no engineer will prefer them because they are just not as good as the ones with machine room. But this movement has started in 1995 when Kone had the first machine roomless lift in Germany, was actually approved by the German TÜV. And at that time, Kone was a very small player in Europe, was maybe 6% of the market share. And most of us, small, medium companies, but also the big companies, they really underestimated the trend that had been set into motion at this time. And that's why Kone got such a big advantage. The market share of Kone raised from 6 to 13, 17, 14% in the next years. So this is, especially in the market of elevators, quite dramatic. And all the big companies have underestimated. And up to now, only Schindler is the only one who has a product which can really compete. So that just makes clear what a market advantage Kone got to it. But right now, it is in Europe. The big companies, they don't even offer any others than machine room. There's nothing in their portfolio, and of course this has a certain level. High-speed lifts will still always have a machine room. So the standards right now go mostly up to 2,500 kilograms and 2.5 meters in speed. So, and that's about like 30 floors or 25 floors. So above that, even the big companies with their high-rise ranges start, and they have machine rooms because, you know, some of the machines are big as a house. So it's impossible to do that without a machine room. So, yeah, and I think the trend is very difficult to stop because the big companies have just a big market share, and they can really pressure it. And maybe it takes time in some countries, like US, it takes more time, but in other countries it will take less. And I'm afraid we will not have machine room lifts more all over the world. I mean, China is the only other country in the world where they have still a lot of machine room, or most they have like a 15% market share there, because China is so diversified right now. But I'm pretty sure that will change as well.
Marcela Guiar.
I can't see the light is so bright, sorry.
Isso. Marcela Guiar, Elevadores Milênio. Eu gostaria que você comentasse um pouco mais sobre uma questão que você acabou de falar na sua palestra, em relação à mão de obra, técnicos para manutenção, que eu vejo que é uma questão mundial, a dificuldade de formação de novos profissionais. Você comentou que existe uma academia, como foi entendido, vocês da associação formaram esse curso, né? Eu gostaria como que é realmente essa tratativa, sabendo, inclusive, que existe em alguns países da Europa uma crise de empregabilidade, né? Falta de empregos, como discutir isso, uma vez que temos pessoas desempregadas e a falta de interesse do mercado tão promissor que poderíamos estar trazendo os novos profissionais para atuarem. E também você comentar um pouquinho da sua dificuldade ou do seu dia a dia, possuindo 3.000 equipamentos sob a sua direção, sob a sua manutenção, como vocês tratam isso? O treinamento da sua equipe, a sua empresa faz essa promoção, a associação, ou as empresas em conjunto desenvolvem esse trabalho para formarem novos profissionais?
So first, we had our technicians. I mean, as I said, when we hired them, they all have been through the 3-year of apprenticeship. So they were already full elevator technicians. So what all we had to do is to regularly upgrade their knowledge or refresh their knowledge, and we did that by many things. We had like once a month, we had like a 4-hour training session on safety. Every month it was like, I think it was the first Monday in the month, and every time we had that. And there were issues getting us by the union or by the third-party authorities where there had maybe accidents or anything. So we took these as an example of how to do things differently in the safety area. Then also new techniques. That we were working a lot with our component suppliers. Mostly we put together a few of our component suppliers and put a day of training together with everything which is new. Like, for example, the controller manufacturer came and showed his new features and how to make a fault detection. And for the machines, we had a company and they came and we had a full day of training with them. So this is mostly only refreshing and not the original education. The problem is that in Europe, the education of elevator technicians is different in every state because they all have different educational systems, and it's very difficult to swap as an elevator technician from one country to another because you may have a different education. The academy is involved in upgrading these. We don't have like a general education, like a vocational training for 3 years. We only do upgrading of existing. So, for example, if your mechanic is maybe a little weak side on the electronic side, so we have a 3-day course to give him more information about electronics, or you have somebody new entering it, we have a basic course to give him information about elevator safety, all the safety circuits, all the components, for example. Then we have courses for engineers, for design of elevators, but there's not a general course for the complete elevator technician. This, maybe Gary will talk more about that, because in the US they have an entire system for complete from zero to so that he will have a more intensive insight about that.
Boa tarde, meu nome é Max Santos, eu sou do CCS, do Sindicato das Empresas de Elevadores do Estado de São Paulo. Em primeiro lugar, eu gostaria de parabenizar aí ao CREA, uma pessoa do Marcelo, aos organizadores, o Ronaldo. Eventos como este aqui, eles fazem com que o segmento cresça, né? Nós unidos, trocando informações, com certeza seremos mais fortes, mais competitivos. E eu queria dar 2 informações aqui. Fernando, essa questão de você ter os elevadores com informações nas nuvens, né? Essa questão de se você ter o técnico virtual, realmente, na minha opinião, também é uma tendência. Eu acredito que isso nós não vamos fugir, e todos, acho que em pouco tempo, terão que ter acesso a isso. E te dou também uma boa notícia: existem empresas aqui no Brasil já fazendo isso, né? Inclusive, nós estamos instalando em 2 equipamentos nossos lá em São Paulo. Não sabemos ainda como vai funcionar, mas acredito que vai dar tudo certo, né? Então, isso é muito importante para nós. É bom a gente saber que existem já essas opções aqui para as pequenas empresas no Brasil. A outra questão que eu queria comentar aqui é o seguinte, com relação às fiscalizações, né? Nós, em São Paulo, nós temos um sistema de fiscalização que é feito pela Prefeitura de São Paulo, né? As normas, elas não têm força de lei. Então, para que tenham força de lei, tem que estar estruturada numa lei, né? Então, essa é a premissa básica que a gente entende aqui. Lá em São Paulo, a responsabilidade técnica, civil e criminal pelas condições do equipamento estar funcionando com segurança é da empresa, que tem registro no CREA, e o engenheiro que responde pela empresa é o responsável. Então, com base nisso, nós desenvolvemos um sistema em São Paulo que chama-se RIA, Relatório de Inspeção Anual Online. Então, a empresa é obrigada a informar à prefeitura, online, via internet, quais são as condições dos equipamentos que ela faz a manutenção, que ela faz a conservação. Caso exista algum problema nesse equipamento que envolva segurança e que exista uma pendência, ou seja, ele não foi resolvido, a empresa apresentou o orçamento, não foi resolvido, ela informa no RIA e automaticamente o sistema emite uma notificação para o prédio para que possa regularizar essa pendência, né? Aqui, pelo menos em São Paulo, é assim que funciona. Nós estamos tentando fazer uma lei nacional de obrigatoriedade de manutenção e estamos desenvolvendo trabalho no sentido de levar isso para todas as cidades, né, que tenham um sistema semelhante a esse. A minha dúvida com relação à questão da Europa é que você tem as empresas independentes fazendo a fiscalização. Muito bem, ela detectou o problema, foi dado um prazo para que esse problema seja resolvido, esse problema não foi resolvido. Existe uma punição, uma notificação, uma multa para a empresa e para o proprietário do elevador? Essa é a questão que eu gostaria de saber de você. E agradeço aí a tua participação. Muito obrigado, Arch e o Gary. É muito importante tê-los aqui trocando essas informações conosco. Muito obrigado.
Yeah, it's good to hear that these problems are worked on in Brazil already. Coming to your question, there are fines if you have not fulfilled the obligations. It can be first that you get a fine, which is anything from a few hundred to a few thousand euros. But also it could be that the elevator is not allowed to go into service, so it will not operate. And the fine is applied in general to the building, to the owner of the elevator, because he is responsible for the operation, not the elevator company.
Ok, vamos então à última pergunta. Temos espaço para mais uma ou duas, Marcelo? Vamos à última, então.
Boa tarde, Alisson da Vertical Elevadores. Eu gostaria de entender como funciona na Europa a questão da responsabilidade técnica. Igual você falou, a empresa tem que ser cadastrada no governo, né? Aqui no Brasil tem que ter um engenheiro mecânico. Na Europa, como que procede a situação? Também é engenheiro mecânico? Visando a tendência, igual estamos acompanhando a evolução para a tecnologia eletrônica, igual você falou, permanece essa mesma situação ou lá é aberto o campo de engenharia para responsabilidade?
I'm not sure I got the question right, but the question is for the inspection. Was that the question? If you have to have an engineer for the inspections, is that the correct question? Or maybe you can repeat the question.
No caso, se lá precisa, por exemplo, de um engenheiro ser responsável pelo elevador. No caso, se houver algum acidente, ele será o responsável, ou, por exemplo, a empresa não precisa ter engenheiros para ser responsável. Ou qual a formação também? É mecânico, eletricista ou não precisa?
Oh, that's for the maintenance company or for the company. Oh, okay. Generally, you get a license from the government, and you have to have an engineer when you get the license. But if the engineer is leaving after you get the license, you don't have one. So it's responsible is always the company. And of course, if somebody has done a very a fault with gravity, which is very serious, then it's a personal responsibility. But generally, it's always the company who's responsible. And there, first of all, is the managing director, the CEO, and not an engineer who is responsible for all that.
Ok, muito obrigado. Eu gostaria de convidar aqui ao palco Marcelo, presidente da ABMEC, agradecendo a todos vocês pelas perguntas, ao Ashton Hutter pela palestra. Thanks for your lecture, Ashton.
Gostaria de agradecer ao Ashton, muito obrigado, tá? Obrigado mesmo. Eu gostaria de informar a todos que iremos montar um fórum, porque realmente são várias perguntas, várias pessoas, então depois a gente vai disponibilizar essas perguntas para os palestrantes e vamos divulgar para todos, para a gente poder realmente trocar essas experiências. E agradecer realmente a todos aí que participaram e a você. Muito obrigado.
Muito obrigado.